Good morning, everybody. And today I want to talk to you about removing pet hair. If you have pets, you have pet hair. That's all there is to it. This is a disgusting mess. I have two floor mats here that came out of the cargo section of my wife's car. We haven't used these as floor mats, but they've been sitting back there on top of the rubber mat to keep the dogs a little bit more comfortable. And as such, they get covered in pet hair. If you have pets, you know as well as I do, this can be very difficult to remove. Especially from carpet, the hair tends to get stuck in the carpet fibers. And you can see there's also a little bit of static electricity going on here. The hair is attracted, or seems to be attracted, to the carpet. Like most people, we have a variety of pet hair removal devices. Masking tape roller, rubber brush, which I like. This foam doohickey, which is basically gutter foam from what I can tell, also works good. Typical vacuum cleaner attachment. It goes without saying, if you're going to have pets, you have to have a good vacuum cleaner. But today I want to talk about a theory, and I've actually seen this in a couple of places. When we talk about that static electricity and preventing the hair from wanting to be stuck, fabric softener is a good way to actually make a difference there. So what we're going to do today is try this concoction that I've mixed up this morning, which is basically fabric softener and water. We're going to do a comparison. One floor mat, I'm going to try that with just the regular rubber brush. I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the other one without the fabric softener and see what kind of difference it makes. Now, note, I'm doing this just because the hair is annoying. I'm not trying to sell you anything. And I think that when we're done, we're going to find out that you can actually remove pet hair using things you already have without spending any money. So let's take a look and see what happens. All right, so to get started, I've got my fabric softener mix. I'm going to take a fresh sheet on my lint roller and just run it through here once, or a couple of times actually. And it does, it does a reasonable job of picking up the hair, but there's still quite a bit left. So instead of going with that route, let's actually lightly coat the floor mat with this fabric softener concoction and use the rubber brush and see what happens. All right, now I'm going to be honest, I've never done this before. So it smells good. Shot a bunch of it on there. I'm going to give it a second, and then I'm going to actually use the brush and see what kind of a difference it makes. It's not particularly damp. I'm not sure how much time I need to give it. So let's take the brush and see what happens. It's moving a bunch of pet hair, but not necessarily moving as much as I thought. I'm going to vacuum this little pile up, give it another second or so to set, and see if it makes any difference. So far, nothing dramatic. Let's try switching tools. So, we've removed some of the pet hair. Still a significant amount on there, and not the miracle that I was expecting it to be. So I'm going to do two things. I'm going to spray this one down again, just get a little bit wetter because it's not particularly wet. And then while we're going to let that set for a minute, we'll take a shot at the other floor mat without using any of the fabric softener. All right. All right, I set the first mat aside for a minute. Here's the second mat. Let's just try same devices with no fabric softener. All right, so you can see, I'm going to say I got about the same results. So between this sample and my fabric softener sample, so far I don't see any difference. Let's switch back and try the other one. Yeah, so this one's been sitting for a couple of minutes now. It's a little bit damp. Let's see if we get any better results. So it might be a little bit better, but there's still, look up close, there's still quite a bit of dog hair on here. So either I have the ratio wrong for fabric softener, or this is not the big deal I expected it to be. I'm going to give this one more shot and see if I get a little bit more off. And you can see this is still challenging. It's still a significant amount of work. Let's try our tools combined. So interestingly enough, my Dyson vacuum cleaner attachment fits conveniently onto the end of my shop vac. Now that was interesting. I don't know if you can tell, but that was about 20 seconds of using the shop vac. And a large portion of that hair is gone. That was really fantastic. I'm going to switch over to the other one, use the shop vac, and see what the difference is. Okay, here we are on the unsprayed floor mat. And I'm going to do the same thing. So basically, I've got the area that I already tried. I'm going to use my Dyson attachment on the end of my shop vac and see if we get the same kind of results we got a minute ago. Now that also did a pretty good job. In fact, if you take a look at the area that we did with the rubber brush first, there's no pet hair left there at all. Still a little bit around the edges here, but we've removed a significant amount. Switching back to the fabric softener mat, I would say these are about the same. So I'm going to do one more test. I'm going to run the shop vac over this one more time, see how much I can pick up, and then I'm going to run it over this one more time and see how clean I can get that, and then I'm going to do one more test with the fabric softener and see if it makes a difference. And to keep this fair, I don't want one on top of the other. All right, once again, very little effort. There is very little dog hair left. Still has hair on it, but not a lot. My guess is if I were to go over it with the roller again, some of what's left might come up. Not really. I find these things are pretty ineffective on carpeting. If we go back to the brush for a moment, and this is where I find you get the best results. Go over it with the brush. That breaks up the bond and gets the hair out of the fiber. Hit it again with the vacuum. And we are now at a state where there is very little hair left on that. So switching back to our control test, I'm going to do the same thing. So there's still quite a bit of dog hair on it. Going to hit it a minute with the rubber brush. Then I'm going to hit it with the vacuum. We'll take a close look at both and see if there's any difference. Really what you end up doing with the brush is just breaking up that bond, getting the carpet out of the fiber. I'm not actually trying to pick anything up. All right, now taking a look, this is pretty close to as good as the other one. So for the last test we're going to do, I want to shoot this one with a little bit of fabric softener and see if what's left comes up. All right, here we are with the final test. I'm going to lightly spray both of these again. There's very little dog hair left. At this point, the vacuum seems to be ineffective picking up the rest of this. We're only a couple of minutes into it. So let's see if adding a little bit of fabric softener at this step makes any difference. And I'm going to do both. Having never done this before, I have no idea how much fabric softener to use. I'm not sure how long I need to let it set, so I'm just going to pick up the vacuum and give this one more shot. All right, at this point, I'm going to call this done. Let's take a close look and see if there's really any differences between these. All right, so this is our final test, or the results of our test. So this is the mat that had the fabric softener on it from the beginning. If you take a look, there is very, very little dog hair left. And we didn't spend a lot of time with this. The results of this, I would say, are pretty good. I would almost be ready to put this back in my car and use it as a floor mat, except I'm really particular. I want the rest of those tiny hairs off. This is our control. This didn't have any fabric softener on it until the end. Put about the same amount of effort into both, I think, although I didn't time all of this. This one, you can see significantly more hair. Not a lot. From a distance, still looks pretty good. But I think the fabric softener actually did make a difference. And if you go back to a mat that I haven't touched, this is effectively what we started with. Tremendous amount of dog hair. So, used fabric softener, couple of minutes effort, really, really looks good. No fabric softener, same amount of effort, not bad, but not quite as good. And again, just the results of having dogs. So, I would say try this yourself. Next time I do it, I think I'm going to go a little bit lighter on the water and see if a heavier concentration of fabric softener makes any difference. That's it for today, guys. Hopefully this was useful to somebody.